With Cyberknife he's pre-entered in both the classic and the dirt mile.
Yeah, he's pre-entered. We're probably looking more at the mile. He's doing really well. He had a fantastic breeze here this past weekend. He'll breeze again on Saturday morning, and he's set up. I think the mile is very important to get away well. Hopefully he breaks sharp and can put himself in position. But overall, he's doing fantastic. He's as good as he's been all year. He's been very consistent all season.
What would be the consideration in which race to go in? You've won them both.
It was a request from Al Gold. I'm just being straight up. I like leaning toward the mile. Just think it gives us the best opportunity to win a race. The Classics, a very, very good group of horses. He's a good horse, but it's just, he might not quite be a mile and a quarter horse. I know he can get a mile. So I think it just gives him the best opportunity to get a victory in the Breeders' Cup.
Now, how's he compare now compared to when, say, he went into the Kentucky Derby, when he went into the Haskell?
Well, he's just, he's obviously has some more miles on him, and he's moving great. That's with all these horses, when they're competing at a top level, you start wondering about how they're going to continue to move from a soundness standpoint and how they carry themselves. And he's moving as well as he ever has. His condition's great. His weight's looks amazing. So, that's the one thing you just continue to monitor. And he's, done everything right and continued to move forward. And mentally, he's a better horse now than he was, say, Kentucky Derby time. A little tough to deal with that day in the paddock in the Haskell, but overall he's really moved forward a lot, mentally and physically over the years.
Got Chop, who just got beat a lip in the Grade 1 Alcibiades after winning a $500,000 race on turf at Churchill Downs, and you're going in the Juvenile Fillies with her. You think dirt's going to be her forte?
I think she could do both, but I like what I saw in the Alcibiades to keep her on the dirt. Once again, she's a big filly, ton of leg, a lot of scope, and getting her started at Ellis was more so just the turf or the distance as opposed to the surface. Just wanted to get her around 2 turns first time. Thought it made more sense. She wasn't super quick out of the gate, and she kind of showed that in the Alcibiades. We're hoping she can get away a little bit better, but and I think if she does, she'll definitely be effective. So I think she can run on the dirt, and it's nice to know that obviously she has accomplished horse on the turf as well.
Yeah, that defeat looked like it really stung, talking to you right after the race. I think because she didn't break well, like you said, and that was a nice filly that won, but she had a lot of work left to do. Chop did.
Right, yeah, she overcome a lot throughout the race, I thought, with just obviously the slow break and maybe just didn't have a clean path up the backside. But overall, she ran a winning race. I was proud of her. It's always tough to get beat in the Grade 1 period when it's that close. Those are hard ones to swallow, but she bounced out of it in good order, and I like what we've seen so far from her. And see, hopefully, she'll have looking to work her on Friday. We'll see how it goes.
Now, the next day you got beat a lip in the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity with Loggins. You're sitting this one out to give him, because he ran back in 3 weeks.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You are going to be in the Juvenile with Verifying, who was second in the Champagne. Talk about that horse and his progress.
He's a nice horse. I think his numbers stack up with this group, or they're right there with him. He does have to improve, and I think he will. Third start of his career. His last run was a good race. It was on a muddy track. I don't think he was on the good part of the track. He stayed on to be second. I think the horse won the race and was third. Had some seasoning on him, had some more runs, and I think he got a lot out of that. He come back to Churchill. He's very sound, great moving horse, good attitude. Physically, looks amazing. I think he's going the right way, and he's another one we're going to breeze on Friday. Probably breeze him with Chop, and if it all goes well, I'm looking forward to giving him an opportunity. I think he's I know he's a very nice horse, and hopefully he can show what he's got in the Breeders' Cup.
Do either of those horses remind you of any of your 2-year-olds that you've won the Breeders' Cup with in the past?
Yeah, listen, I'd say with British Idiom, I guess you'd compare Chop. That's who you'd compare her to. Yeah, they weren't super fast fillies, but they were fillies that just kept coming, would stay on. Obviously, British Idiom did put herself in the race a little bit more than Chop, but I'm hoping once again we can get Chop to break and be a little bit, not give herself so much to do like she did in the Alcibiades. I think she's going to have to break and put herself in the game, and if Joelle will get a good trip, I think she's going to be effective. I can kind of see a little bit of that with Verifying as well. I don't think he's a super fast horse, but he is a horse that does have enough speed, put himself in the race, and able to stay on. Yeah, I could kind of maybe compare him to Essential Quality in that he's not maybe super fast, but he does stay on and he's got enough speed to keep himself close. So I think there's some similarities.
Now, I cut you off when we were talking about Loggins, but what will you do with him? Is he through for the year, or might he run?
Yeah, no, we're giving him time. He's going to get just a break. I think just perfect timing. He ran a big race in the Breeders' Futurity and just felt like 3 or 4 days post Breeders' Futurity, he was a horse that just wasn't showing us all the signs that we needed to wheel him back in 4 weeks, and he would need 2 good works. And, we want a horse next year. We think he's a horse that's got a big future and excited about getting him going next year. We're just going to give him 45, maybe 60 days off and go.
So you also have Lady Rocket going in the filly and mare sprint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's doing well. She just shipped back down from Belmont. She was up there. She was second in the Gallant Bloom behind Kamari. Received a big figure out of the race, the second best figure she's had in her career behind her Go for Juan last year. And she seems to be a filly that does well in the fall. So I like her going 7-8. She was able to win the Chicago at Churchill earlier this season over that distance. And, just hopeful she can get a good trip. That's vital with all these horses, all these Breeders' Cup races. I mean, all these horses can run. So, we're looking forward to giving her an opportunity again at the Grade 1 level. She's had a swing or two there. And, our Ballerina was a complete throwout. She didn't break quite that well, and she took a lot of kickback that day, come back with a ton of racetrack on her and just didn't accept the kickback that day. So we kind of crossed that race off. She come back. She did run a good race in the Gallant Bloom, and, we're hopeful that, it set her up well for maybe a big performance in the Breeders' Cup.
And then at Keeneland, you have Caravel, who won the Franklin, and who's going to, you didn't have her last year, but she's going to take on the boys again in the turf sprint.
Yeah, we're going to give her a shot. It's back a little quick. I think it's 20 days between her win and the Breeders' Cup. But, she's doing well. She's been at Keeneland for a solid month, basically since they opened the backside. She's settled in really well over there. She likes Keeneland. She looks amazing. Her weight's good right now. She's always been a little bit of a light filly, but right now she's maintaining her weight. She's training well. She's aggressive. Probably give her a spin around the turf course this weekend and see how it goes. But, there's not a lot of options with her. She is in the sale, so we thought, why not, as long as she was doing well, give her a chance.
Only upside there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we're not, decreasing her value by running in the Breeders' Cup. She's not had much success against the boys, but if some things can happen, if she can break really well and get a great position. I feel like if she can turn for home or at some point get her head in front, she's going to be tough to beat because she does try. Once she gets her head in front, she's a hard one to run down.
Well, she's going to have her work cut out with Golden Pal in there.
Yeah, no doubt. No, I mean, she's going to be up against it, but once again, not a lot of options, and we'll see how it goes.
A year ago, you had the big favorite for the Classic in Nick's Go, who ended up being Horse of the Year. Just sort of talk about your contingent this year versus last year, and is it any different for you?
Well, I guess it's a little different when we had Nick's Go, Essential Quality, 2 really good horses. I think they ended up going off favorite, maybe second choice in the Classic. So, a little bit different group for sure, but I feel like we have some good opportunities, especially with our juveniles. I really like both of these juveniles in Verifying and Chop Chop. I mean, I think they're set up for big efforts as long as they move forward, and I think they will. We obviously have to get through their breeze on Friday in preparation for the race, but both are doing well. So I think we have and Cyberknife obviously in the mile. If we can get there, I think he'll be one of the choices as well. So I think we're set up to have maybe not quite as good a Breeders' Cup as we had a few years ago at Keeneland, but we could have a good weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously Keeneland, there's fond memories there. You won a record-tying 4 wins there last time.
It was an amazing weekend. Obviously it was COVID, but it is what it is. It was great. All those horses figured. I think we ran all 4 of those horses were either first or second choice in the wagering. So, they all made sense and they all showed up and ran well. And, I'm hopeful that, a handful of these can jump up and have big performances next weekend.